Hey guys, what's up? It's Karl here, and coming at you with your very first look. I know that this phone has been leaked forever, of the brand new Samsung Galaxy S20, S20 Plus, and S20 Ultra. In 2020, I don't think we can escape the fact of leaked phones. Nothing is safe these days. We've seen all the rumors, we've seen what's coming, but these are the official announcements coming from Samsung for the three devices. And I had the chance to go hands-on earlier this week as my actual devices are en route to the studio. I'm gonna go over the three different options and then let you know which one is kind of worth it, my overall thoughts, and if it's worth, I guess, upgrading in 2020, if you should grab the S20. So three different options, and to break it down simply, the S20 and S20 Plus are exactly the same except for a change in screen size. 6.2 inches and 6.7 inches, and people argue every 0.1 inch makes the difference.
This is huge. That's what she said.
The second difference there is the price range, and for that extra 0.5 inches, you'll see a $200 price increase. So the S20 starts at $1,000, $999, $1,200 for the S20 Plus. Canadian pricing, we've got shafted once again. Our dollar is just no bueno. But for the main purposes, the internals are pretty much identical for those two devices. So for that screen, you've got Quad HD, HDR10+. We do have a 120 Hz refresh rate, but keep in mind, if you do select that, the res drops down to 1080p. But that's something that we'll talk about when we get to the Ultra. If you want Quad HD res, you do drop to the 60 Hz refresh rate, which in no means is bad. It's still better than what we get on, say, the Note 10 or even the iPhone. Internally, we have the Snapdragon 865, an octa-core processor. Both these models have 12 gigs of RAM, but the biggest changes across the S20 lineup are coming to the battery. We've seen all the rumors, of course, the leaks of the large camera sensor. On these two models, we have a brand new 64 megapixel main sensor. They feature a 30 times space zoom, which is a combination between both optical and digital zoom. And across the range, all of the devices do record now in 8K video, which is kind of nuts. I think that's more of a stat stuffer. You know, my high-end camera can still only shoot in 4K, but some of the video and photo shots, we've taken a bunch here. I'll show some examples. It's pretty impressive what they're doing. And the last difference of the cameras is the front-facing cam, which is 10 megapixels on the 20 and 20 Plus. But let's get to their flagship, the S20 Ultra. This one's slightly larger at 6.9 inches. It's of course more expensive, no surprises. It's $1,400 or just over $1,900 Canadian. You can spec it for the highest end model. It comes in with 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of space. That pushes it over $2,100. So yeah, it's expensive, it's their flagship, and yeah, we kind of expected that. It still has the same screen res, Quad HD, HDR10+, slightly lower PPI, 511, just because it has a larger screen. But like I mentioned, it does have a 120 Hz refresh rate, but that's only at 1080p at full HD. I think most people will opt for the 60 Hz option. There's no way you'd want to have a 1080p display on a 6.9 inch device. It will save, of course, more battery, but the S20 Ultra also has a larger battery at 5,000 milliamps. And the camera on the Ultra is where the big changes are. This is where we see that fabled 108 megapixel sensor. That's 3 times larger than the S10 or even than the Note 10. The Ultra has the 100 times space zoom. So if this is your time to be the ultimate paparazzi, if you want to sneak up on people, I guess the Ultra is the option to go for. Keep in mind though, the stabilization, when you're zooming in 100 times, it's so tough to get a clear and steady photo. In the demos, we were using a tripod, and even then it was tough to get some of the photos that we were looking for. You can see how fuzzy some of the photos are. They really do lose quality all the way at the 100 times zoom. It's good, it's decent, it's nice to have that 100 times zoom. I just don't know how practical or how steady you could hold your hand to take those photos. The Ultra, just like all of the S20s, does record in 8K video, but the front-facing camera on the front is 30 megapixels. And that's kind of, the key differences. Samsung really is pushing the camera this year. We didn't see too many improvements, say, on the display, other than, of course, that 120 hertz, which I still think needs some quotations around it. But if you are kind of wondering which device to buy, I think the key decision should be made on the cameras. Do you really need 100 times space zoom? Do you need 108 megapixel camera files? And honestly, I think the S20 is more than enough of a device for most people. I wouldn't even consider the S20 Plus. Paying 200 extra bucks for 0.5 inches, I know some people do, but I wouldn't. I think the main decision is between the S20 and S20 Ultra and solely comes down to, do you need that camera? And maybe the one thing that I haven't mentioned, I wish Samsung came out with, say, the S20e, just like how we saw the S10e. It was a budget device, it still had decent specs, and it sold a ton. It was super popular. We don't have an entry-level model for the S20, and maybe we'll see that down the road with the S20 Lite, but there is nothing currently at launch. And that kind of leads me to possibly even suggest grabbing the S10 Plus. Right now, you can grab that for just over 600 bucks, or even the Note 10. The screen is still great. It still has a very good processor inside. You won't notice too much of a difference in speeds. It's, of course, the camera, which comes down to the main decision of grabbing the S20 lineup. Curious what you guys have to say though down below in the comments. Can't wait for my full devices to come into the studio. I'll do full testing, so if there's any vids you want to see, let me know down below as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this very first look at the official launch of the Galaxy S20s, and I'll catch the rest of you in one of my next vids or vlogs. Peace!